The young man had gone outside for nothing more than a light warm-up, yet every tree in the forest ended up serving as his punching bag. At a glance, it might have looked impressive. But this wildly uncontrollable, godlike strength made Johan's life utterly miserable. His father, terrified by the sheer power his son possessed, refused to offer Johan any help at all. With no other choice, and determined to live comfortably, the protagonist was forced to rely entirely on himself. This is a world where the strong hold power, and the weak must yield. A deer grazes peacefully, completely unaware that someone has it in their sights. Look, prey over there. Young hunter Yang, follow the guidance, remember your training. Steady now, but your hands tremble with nerves as you try to grip the bow tightly. The arrow is released. The moment the command ends, the forest birds, startled, take flight in a panic. That oblivious deer startles with a jolt. It spins around and dashes away, its body completely unscathed. Turns out, the arrow was never shot. It snapped, and Joseph let out a cry of frustration. Johan, I told you to catch the prey. Who told you to go and break the bow? Johan scratched his head, blaming the material. This thing breaks way too easily. Or maybe it is just an old, worn-out bow, Joseph wailed loudly, arguing back. What are you talking about? It was brand new, bought just last week. Ever since you insisted on learning to hunt, I knew it was a bad idea. You are a noble, why on earth would you suddenly want to be a hunter? Joseph sighed, heaping reproach upon reproach until Johan was left speechless. He might as well have learned swordsmanship instead. Yet, his eyes darkened, filled with pensive thought. As if I told you before you got a job, how could you possibly have any money, right, money? He nodded in agreement. Exactly, Johan also forced a smile to brush off the suggestion. No big deal. Come on, let us go somewhere else right now. The scene of a ragged, remote, dilapidated village flooded his mind. Johan needed money and a vast field to symbolize the phrase, to survive in this world. His real name was Kim Johan. After an unexpected accident, he died and was reborn into this world. Being reborn as a noble was great and all. But currently, Johan was at the absolute bottom of the family hierarchy. Inheritance or assets, do not even dream of it. He would be lucky if he was not dragged into the power struggle between his siblings and kicked out onto the street with nothing but the clothes on his back. But the biggest problem was Johan. Wait, they saw a pack of wolves surrounding something, fighting over it. Over there was a pack of gray wolves. Immediately after, an arrow whistled through the air and embedded itself in a tree trunk, startling them. The whole wolf pack scattered in chaos. The one who shot the arrow was Joseph. Johan looked down at the spot where they had gathered earlier, thinking to himself. The world he was reborn into was a medieval one, but it was far too realistic. Brutally so. Could not he even rest in peace after death? He looked at the person with an indifferent expression and asked, was he from our village? Joseph sighed and shook his head. Hard to say, impossible to know. But one thing's for sure, the weak are merely food for the strong. Johan clenched his fist, a turbulent, indescribable feeling surging within him. Yes, to avoid becoming prey in this era. His face began to show clear panic, his eyes seemingly shouting that he needed money. When he first arrived in this world, Johan had hoped he would awaken some kind of supernatural ability. But upon realizing there was nothing, Johan changed his goal. The image of a gold coin said it all, that was money. With money, he could leave the territory and do anything, become a merchant or a free farmer. Yes, money, money, and more money. Money was everything, so he had to scrape it together by any means necessary. Not paying much attention to him, Joseph spotted something. Look at this, Johan. This is demon weed. As I said before, this herb is incredibly valuable. Just hearing that, Johan promptly plucked it. So it must be worth a lot, right? Seeing that expression plastered with nothing but money left Joseph speechless. Suddenly, Joseph noticed a bag near Johan's foot and grew curious. Johan, I think you dropped something. Johan shook his head in denial. Huh, not me. Someone else must have lost it. Joseph, puzzled, tried to remind him. Come on, how could that be? Who else would dare come this deep into the woods besides us? At that moment, a chilling sensation shot straight up Joseph's spine. Wait, could it be as he feared? A panicked scream immediately rang out nearby. The two of them quickly ran towards the cry for help as fast as they could. Help me, is anyone there? As soon as they arrived, both stared, mouths agape in astonishment. It was a little girl being attacked by a pack of nearly 10 wolves. Please, save me. Both of them recognized the child. She was Robert's daughter. What was a child doing so deep in the forest? Below, the wild wolf pack was waiting for an opportunity to snatch her. Witnessing this, Joseph immediately turned and urged, "There are too many wolves. The two of us are not enough. We need to retreat and call for more people." But Johann thought differently. He charged forward with a blank expression. Joseph immediately yelled to stop him. "Johann, it is too dangerous. These are not ordinary wolves. They are man-eating monsters." Johann looked back to reassure him. "It is fine, Joseph. I will distract them." You seized the chance to rescue Dell. Though so shocked he nearly froze stiff, Joseph could do nothing but comply. While Joseph stood there dumbfounded, Johann flashed a wicked grin. Unbelievable. Was the young master voluntarily acting as bait just to save a commoner? In reality, Johann's mind was on money. "I knew I should have started hunting earlier. Who knew there'd be a hidden gold mine in a place like this? 1, 2, 3, 4. At least 10 of them. Skinning and selling them would surely net a fortune. All right, just you wait, you walking sacks of gold." Joseph was shocked by Johann's bizarre actions. What in the world? Johann was wildly swinging his sword around as if showing off, making Joseph exclaim involuntarily. What was that chaotic swordsmanship? The ferocious, hungry wolves had no hesitation lunging at him. They sprang quickly off the ground, causing leaves to fly up. Seeing this, Johann reflexively raised his sword to block the attack. A wolf bared its fangs and clamped down hard on the blade. Being too old, it immediately cracked. In an instant, the sword was nearly bent out of shape, and then it shattered into pieces, leaving Johann stunned. Meanwhile, another wolf opened its huge maw wide, lunging to deliver a finishing blow, and then time seemed to slow down for a moment. Joseph watched from afar in horror, eyes wide with fear. He let out a scream that pierced the heavens. Master Johann, at the same time, in AITZ territory, in Baltron village, the AITZ family inspection party was making its rounds. The sound of hooves preceded them, bringing fear wherever they went. Even the seasoned village elders had to bow submissively, trembling. The arrogant young woman holding a fan over her nose, glancing disdainfully at everyone, was the beloved concubine, Madam. The young man riding a horse with an expressionless face was the eldest son, Philip Aitz. And this drunken old man was the feudal lord, Jason Aitz. He scorned them. This damnable backwater village is still as filthy and stinking as ever. Philip, not finding the person he was looking for, had to seek instruction from Jason. "Father, my apologies, but it seems Johann is nowhere to be found. To flee during an inspection. Should I send soldiers to search for him?" Before answering, Jason took a deep swig and exhaled with pleasure. Jason waved his hand dismissively. "Forget it. What is the point of looking for that lunatic? Leave him be. Let him wander like the sow of a mother he had." While making snide remarks, he suddenly saw something offensive to his eyes. What Jason's eyes fell upon was a huge pile of firewood at the village corner. A bit curious, he stopped to ask, "What is this? Why is there a pile of firewood at the village entrance?" One of the villagers spoke up, "My apologies, Lord. These are traces of Lord Johann's training. I covered them because they were a bit unsightly." Hearing this, Jason let out a sarcastic laugh. Training? A puny little worm dares to talk about training. But then, as the pile of firewood fell away, his gaze shifted from white to black. It was a fist imprint, clear and sharp, and extremely deep on the tree trunk. Not just one, but many such trunks were scattered about, causing Jason to exclaim in shock. What the hell is this? Back to reality. One wolf had successfully pinned Johann down, but what awaited it to receive was not a gushing victory, but confusion. The moment Johann tensed his muscles, the wolf was sent flying. It could not bite him. It was thrown far, even spinning a few times in the air. Swordsmanship really is not for me. Well then, this time I will fight my way. Come at me. You walking money sacks that understand survival of the fittest. To avoid becoming prey in this era, you need money. And to earn money, you need something far beyond ordinary people. Seeing them charge, Johann did not hesitate to throw a full-force punch. With just one punch from him, A wolf lay limp on the spot, overwhelming power. This caused Joseph's already gaping mouth to open even wider. The wolf's face was flattened into a pancake by the force of the punch. And so it went. Johann continuously threw punches. Not a single wolf managed to touch him a second time. Getting bored of punching, Johann grabbed one of them. He casually tossed it away, conveniently gifting it a one-way ticket back to its childhood. Joseph, who had been watching all this while, still could not close his mouth. Impossible. What kind of strength is this? In the blink of an eye, he had successfully wiped out nearly 10 wolves, and then eagerly wondered, so how much gold is this in total? Childhood memories flooded back, forcing Johann to admit that life here was anything but easy. 2 bullies scorned and then laid hands on him. Just die, you bastard orphan, you have no mother, yet you dare be insolent. He always had to endure everything. His higher status older brothers constantly bullied Johann, flaunting their position, cursing, and beating him mercilessly. After venting their anger, they left Johann behind. Keep it up, and I will stomp you flat again. His eyes were filled with seething resentment. Johann gradually understood just how brutal this world truly was. Even if he were beaten to death here, no one would care. The only thing Johann could trust was himself. And so, Johann pondered, what does one need to survive in this medieval era? Fortunately, the biggest difference between him and medieval people was his modern reservoir of knowledge. All of it was stuff he would learn for job hunting. The result was that Johann's head was packed with kinds of knowledge unimaginable to medieval people. He was determined to make the most of it, undergoing high-intensity training based on exercise physiology theory. When an elder in the village asked, "Lord Johann, why are you throwing away food?" he replied between bites, "That is not what is happening. This is a superfood combination of oats, cabbage, beans, and quail eggs. See, I am just designing a balanced diet based on nutritional science." Johann was applying proper nutrition for optimal physical conditioning. Additionally, he was practicing practical combat strikes from mixed martial arts. And so, the days of relentless training passed. A few years later, Johann was nearly capable of punching through a large tree. He continuously threw punches with full force determination. Trees fell one after another, birds scattering in fear. Johann's meticulously, painstakingly tempered body gradually reached extraordinary strength. He put his shirt back on and sighed in relief, finally feeling truly comfortable. Johann stood amidst a forest of felled trees without needing an axe. He wondered if this was divine blessing or just another one of his trials. Time flowed on, unbeknownst to anyone. Returning to the gloomy forest that day, Johann dusted himself off and scanned his surroundings to assess the situation. Dawn was breaking, leaving him alone on the stage. The entire wolf pack lay defeated. All done here, over there. Joseph was helping the little girl down. "Dell, are you hurt anywhere?" "Thank goodness, the kid's okay." Dell sobbed, "Uncle Joseph." Joseph sat down, taking a deep breath to compose himself. He scratched his head and said calmly, "Lord Johann, you acted far too recklessly just now. Do you have any idea how dangerous what you did was, and yet, for a peasant child, you charged straight into a pack of wild beasts without a moment's hesitation. I, Joseph, am genuinely moved by your noble action. On behalf of the villagers, I express our deepest gratitude." Expecting to move someone, he instead gave Johann a chill. Johann paid him no mind. "Which one's the most valuable?" Hearing Joseph's voice vaguely, Johann startled and turned around. "What did you just say?" Joseph, his enthusiasm deflated, said no more. "Oh, it is nothing, sir." Seizing the moment, Johann looked at the little girl to check on her. "Ah, Dell, right, you okay, kid, are you hurt?" Dell answered politely. "Yes, thanks to you, sir, I am fine. Thank you so much." But then, the girl's expression shifted from calm to horrified. Right behind them was a pair of enormous, terrifying eyes. It emitted an intense, murderous aura that was impossible to miss. Seeing Dell cover her face, trembling in fear, the two turned around in confusion to check. What awaited them was a face of cold iron and razor-sharp fangs. This wolf was hundreds of times larger than the others. Joseph's face paled with fear as he trembled and exclaimed, "A monster! Johann, you must run now. To defeat that, you would need an entire army." Ignoring Joseph's advice, Johann taunted it. "I thought this was a normal medieval world. But it turns out to be a world with monsters. Hey, Runt, are you the leader of this bunch? Sorry, but I killed all your underlings. Because pelts from old geezers like these fetch a high price. Hearing this, the wolf could no longer contain its emotions, letting out a low, furious growl. Its killing intent made Johann realize, I can sense it viewing me as prey. But then it let out a roar that shook heaven and earth, signaling the battle was about to begin. Not important. As the roar ended, it lunged, but Johann dodged in time. Because anyway, your pelt is definitely worth even more than theirs. Saying this, Johann hurled a large clod of earth at its face. Unfazed, the wolf simply shook its body slightly, sending everything flying. Instead, the attack left a scratch near its eye. That was exactly what Johann was worried about. I have bruised its pelt all over. A discount item won't sell. The wolf grew angrier by the second. Its two sets of fangs ground together. It let out a long, eerie howl. The sound was unnervingly stable, so loud Johann had to cover his ears, his knees buckling as he tried to stay upright. On the other side, Joseph held Dell tightly, shielding her. Johann was on the verge of collapsing from exhaustion. He groaned. He silently asked himself, what is this, anyway? Johann's eyes darkened and then went completely blank. Time passed, no one knew for how long, but the battle was gradually drawing to a close. One of the two of them had fallen to the other's strike. That was also the moment Johann jolted awake from the nightmare. He clutched his head, bewildered. What was that, just now? Johann remembered the giant wolf and wondered. Was it a monster? Its huge eyes and cold killing intent were unforgettable had it disappeared. He looked over and saw Joseph and Dell were already asleep. Johann looked at Dell and sighed in relief. Seems everyone's safe. Though he did not understand what had happened, they had to return immediately before the monster reappeared. Johann hoisted them onto his shoulders, leaving behind the gold he would just obtained. I really wanted those old wolves. Guess I have to let it go. Next time, I will have to borrow a ox cart. And so, Johann walked away. He was completely unaware that behind the forest lurked things far more frightening. That night was quiet, the moon shining bright and perfectly round. From afar, Johann could see his destination. The village lights were still on. The villagers are probably searching for Dell together. Even if unintentional, I ended up saving Dell. Maybe I will get some extra points. Johann imagined Jason saying, you defeated a whole pack of grey wolves. Well done, son. I shall appoint you as my successor. Then Philip would complain. Father, I am the eldest son. He sighed as he walked, his thoughts turning to something more realistic. It probably won't go that far, right, but if I am lucky, maybe I will get into the guard unit. If so, then matters of food, clothing, and money in the future. While walking, Johann suddenly noticed something rather vague. That is a brightly burning torch in the quiet night. A squad of house soldiers surrounded him, leaving no escape. Johann stared at the scene, mouth agape in a dumbfounded, oh. At that moment, Philip shouted as if to admonish him. Johann Aitz, how dare you wander off and only return at this hour? You dare to run away on the very day father is conducting inspections. Now remembering, Johann's face turned deathly pale, drained of all blood. That is right, today is that day. I am done for. Philip cursed him out on one side. The Lord slowly dismounted. You insolent brat who knows no respect. He stamped his foot on the ground with imposing authority. Gently setting the other two down, Johann replied, yes, father. There was an urgent matter, so I. Without letting him finish another word, Jason raised his axe. Silence, you dare look down on me. I will split that arrogant head of yours in two. Johann gritted his teeth, too furious to speak. Barely escaping death, he had to run into this pile of trash. Life really was a bitch. After a thought, a sly smile spread across his face. No. Danger is opportunity. Johann immediately deployed his ultimate impression-making tactic. Honorable father, I absolutely did not deliberately avoid the inspection. I was late because I rescued villagers in distress in the forest. The little girl's father immediately rushed over, calling out in panic. Dell, oh my heavens, you are safe. I was looking for you everywhere. He hugged the girl tightly, murmuring incessantly, thank goodness, what a blessing. Seeing this, Johann pressed his advantage, laying out the story. You see, father, Dell was surrounded by a whole pack of wolves deep in the woods. I fought and saved the child, and I took down the wolves. Even though I could not participate in the inspection, I believe I fulfilled my duty as a knight's son. If you forgive me this time, I will dedicate myself to protecting this territory. Oh, and if I could be appointed as the patrol squad captain, that would be even better. Hearing this, Philip let out an angry snort. After finishing, Johann secretly assessed himself, a perfect PR performance. If this were an interview, I would be hired on the spot. Jason burst out laughing, and with a mocking tone added, "Oh, so that is how it is, the future squad captain, but where are the wolves you caught? Do not tell me it is all just empty talk." Johann was incensed by this question, which felt like a thunderclap beside his ear. This damn old man. Nonetheless, he insisted firmly, "I am not lying, father. I even encountered a giant black wolf." Hearing this, the villagers almost all stared in astonishment. Even Jason himself let out a horrified exclamation. His face flushed with anger as he bellowed, "Insolence! You dare lie to me! I will smash that deceitful mouth of yours." Johann remained very calm and agreed to the terms. "You mean you want a duel? Fine, I will prove my strength right here." Deep down, he really did not want to. After all, this was his biological father, and he had no desire to fight him. But there is no other way. So be it. Jason curled his lip in amusement. "Fine. Let us see what a useless piece of trash like you has to offer. Draw your sword, Johann. We duel with swords only." Johann repeated the word blankly. "Sword, a sword? You never taught me to use a sword. You madman." The two stood in the makeshift arena with many witnesses. Jason urged, "Draw your sword. Hurry up, Johann. Out of options, could only take out the shattered, broken sword." "Yes, sir." Jason sighed in exasperation and ordered, "This garbage. Philip, give me your sword." Though reluctant, Philip had to comply. "Yes." As Philip approached, he whispered into Johann's ear, warning him. "Johann, if you know what is good for you, kneel and beg father for forgiveness. That is the only way to survive." Johann replied with fierce determination. "Apologize for what? You only apologize if you did something wrong. Besides, a real man never runs away. Please step aside." Philip wanted to stop him but could not. Johann pointed his sword and declared, "In that case, I ask for your instruction, father." Jason pushed his hat down in resignation, uttering a contemptuous HMPH. Johann was brimming with fighting spirit. "Fine, this is the perfect opportunity to showcase my abilities in front of the villagers. Jason will have to acknowledge me. I will show everyone my true power." He charged forward, disregarding everything, with the firm intention to win. There was indeed a fleeting moment of fear. Jason's face was completely contorted. The sword shot forward, its dark aura making Jason's throat tighten. What is this horrifying pressure? It is exactly like a monster's. Quickly, he raised his axe to block the strike. The advantage began to tilt towards Jason. Johann's sword developed cracks and fractures. Johann was grazed by flying shards, groaning in pain. Johann desperately tried to thrust continuous blows at the armor, causing it to crack. Jason lost his balance momentarily and fell, but not willing to concede easily, he gritted his teeth and yelled, "You despicable insect!" Luckily, Johann managed to dodge the first frantic strike in time. Jason roared madly, "You dare look down on me!" Witnessing this, the others were nearly speechless with shock. Is he serious? Does father really intend to kill Johann? Jason swung his axe with all his might. "Do you know why I never taught you swordsmanship? Because even if you learned, you would still be a useless worm. You think struggling a few times means you can surpass me? This territory is mine. No one can take it, not you, not the emperor, not anyone." Johann continuously dodged, but the accumulated damage was immense. He was bewildered. What the hell is he talking about? Drunk out of his mind? No, more like blinded by rage. Suddenly, a villager shouted, "Johann!" Hearing his name, Johann instinctively turned to look. HMPH, at that exact moment, the axe was right before his eyes, impossible to evade. The villagers collectively gasped in horror, unable to close their mouths. Johann used the last of his waning strength to block that powerful blow, but he no longer had the power to do anything else. He could only let the axe press down. And then the result was all too clear. The sword shattered completely. Johann was utterly convinced of his defeat. He slumped to the ground, looking at the broken sword with helplessness. Jason pointed the axe tip at him and commanded, "Know your place. If you dare irritate me again, next time I will split your head in two." He walked away, leaving behind a deep pit of despair for Johann. Only then did the villagers rush over, calling, "Lord Johann." That night, in a house in the village, someone yelled loudly. "How despicable, Jason!" Johann tried to stop him. "Father Balberga, you are speaking so loudly, what if someone hears?" Balberga did not care and spoke even louder. "Let them hear, I am a man of the church, I fear nothing. A knight should uphold honor. How could he treat his own son, who saved villagers, like that?" Johann forced a saintly smile and said, "I am fine. Surviving is lucky enough." But Balberga's anger would not subside. From the beginning, it was an unfair fight, challenging someone while wearing full plate armor. He must have completely lost his mind from the alcohol. Though Johann smiled brightly, deep down he was very saddened by the day's events. He could only sigh and admit, "This is reality. I know I am poor at swordsmanship, but I did not expect to be this pathetic." Balberga put away the medicine jars, agreeing. After all, Jason is a seasoned knight, taught the family sword techniques, with battlefield experience. Your loss was inevitable. Take Baron Britz from the neighboring territory. I heard he once single-handedly dispatched 300 rebelling peasants. Just imagining it made Johann exclaim, 1 against 300. That Baron Britz is something else, so my loss was due to technique. I thought I could defeat that drunken old man after fighting that giant black wolf. Hearing this, Balberga started, realizing something. He rushed over and shook Johann's shoulders vigorously, demanding clarity. "Lord Johann, is what you said earlier true? Did you really see a giant black wolf in the forest?" Confused by his actions, Johann still admitted, "Yes, I saw it. Joseph and Dell saw it too." Upon hearing this, Balberga whispered a prayer. "Lord have mercy." Johann, startled, asked curiously, what is so special about that wolf?" Balberga walked to a shelf and pulled out a thick, hefty book. "Lord Johann, since ancient times, black wolves." He opened the book and placed it before Johann. "Have been considered an ill omen." The images inside depicted something even more terrifying and metaphorical. He stared intently at the illustration, explaining, "The clergy call them harbingers of death. According to centuries-old legends, black wolves bring death, dyeing everything red with blood." Johann looked at it, his heart pounding, speechless. He rubbed his head, thinking based on this. "I am not superstitious, but could the black wolf have been an omen for my fight with father?" Balberga seemed to think the same. "Ah, perhaps so." He then offered a kind smile to reassure him. "But do not worry too much. The black wolf is just a folk legend. Perhaps God is protecting you. Because you always think of others first. You are a good person." Hearing this, Johann became even more confused. His face went blank. His mind was now occupied only by money. I just want to make a lot of money." Meanwhile, in Brit's territory, near Aitz city, pitiful wails rang out. "Spare my life, I admit my wrongs. Please, I beg you." Do not. A sword stained a deep red dominated the frame, and so another life departed without a farewell. 2 guard soldiers shook their heads in weary resignation. "Running is pointless. You are going to die anyway. Understand," they sighed and commented, "but it is truly brutal. Killing everyone in the territory. Burning everything, leaving not a single corpse. What can we do?" In that blood-soaked night, all the soldiers felt regret. "We just need to collect our pay." At the same time, right at the palace gates, someone was reporting. The person bowed and presented a token. "Lord Karamov, the mercenaries have finished the cleanup. This is the signet ring of House Britz." The man took the ring, examined the inside, then clenched his fist and crushed it without a shred of pity. Standing amidst the aftermath of the chaos, he let out a soft exclamation. "Britz. I heard he alone cut down 100 peasants. I had some expectations. Yet he could not withstand 2 moves. This thing is just a worthless toy to be discarded. In the name of the Emperor, I, Karamov, the sword of the Holy Emperor, declare, I am the reclaimer of signets. By His Majesty's will, I shall punish the disrespectful nobles. For those who are loyal, The emperor will bestow endless glory and countless gold and silver. For those who are not, slaughter them all, plunder everything, burn it all to the ground. Advance. The entire army roared and charged forward on command. The next target, Aitz territory. The battle between Johann and the masked man raged on fiercely, with neither side willing to yield. The masked man stood firm, blocking each of Johann's blows, while Johann unleashed an unending barrage of attacks, raining down strike after strike. The masked man remained completely unscathed, calmly defending. Unnoticed, Johann's sword was knocked flying backward, and his helmet was sent soaring into the air along with the blade. At that moment, Johann was utterly defeated by his opponent's assault. His lifeblood splattered across the ground as Johann's head was severed from his body, tumbling roughly on the earth. Blood poured unceasingly from his mouth and face due to the trauma. Suddenly, Johann's eyes flew open wide in terror. He woke up screaming from the nightmare. He then calmed down upon realizing he was still alive. Just a dream, right? He frowned, massaging his temples in exhaustion. The image of the black wolf from before was still etched deeply in Johann's mind. Ever since I saw that black wolf, I have been haunted by the same nightmare for days now. He also had not forgotten the warning from the blue-eyed young man. Lord Johann, since ancient times, the black wolf has been considered an ill omen, the very embodiment of disaster. Johann now mentally recreated the scene, the wolf standing eerily before a blood-red moon. He grimaced. Spreading blood everywhere and bringing death, so the clergy call it a harbinger of doom. Having thought this, Johann tried to reassure himself. Superstition, just superstition. Father Balberga also said it is just legend. What bad did I even do to that black wolf? Though he said that, he had enthusiastically attacked the wolf earlier. That inevitable reason made Johann pale with fear. Does throwing rocks at it count? In the end, he chose to dismiss it. Whatever, it is fine. Why worry? Stop thinking and go train. Scene changed to a vast hilltop. Johann had chosen this place for training when someone came to bother him. Hey, you useless piece of trash, it was his two half-brothers. They had come solely to mock him. The second-born started it off. Have you forgotten father's teachings already? If you want to live like a pig, do not put on airs. The mean-faced third-born chimed in. That is right. Even after getting beaten to a pulp, you still dared to cause trouble, strutting around all day but accomplishing nothing. Even 100 hits could not crack your thick skull. The mean-faced one curled his lip in disdain. You only broke that log by cheating. Right, the one with the bowl cut added a few more words. Definitely cheating. With your lowly origins, how could you possibly have any real ability? What is this, wanting to be captain of the guard? Wake up from your dream, you idiot. Father would never consider you. Even if he used you, it would only be for chopping firewood to then throw to the pigs. Johann did not utter a single word in response. He simply punched the tree trunk. The very next second, Johann unleashed a powerful, focused blow that shattered it completely. The two half-brothers watched, mouths agape in fear. The huge tree trunk was split in two by Johann's punch. Then, he slowly turned his head towards them. Johann cracked his knuckles menacingly. Oh, what were you just saying? Brothers, come a little closer. Seeing this, the two brothers turned tail and fled, but not without throwing out threats. All right, we are leaving, just you wait. We will tell father everything, we will tell him. Watching them go, Johann felt nothing but helplessness and contempt. What pathetic creatures. How can they live so thoughtlessly? It is not enough to prepare for making a living from now on, yet they show no concern for the future at all. But he immediately regained his composure. Forget it, why worry about them, back to training. Suddenly, Philip's voice rang out. What they said is the truth. He stepped forward solemnly. Father won't give you any official position. Hearing this, Johann still forced a smile. That is to be expected, Philip. But he did not kill me and let me live. That is lucky enough. Philip seemed to see through everything. Disappointed, Johann did not hide it, answering honestly, there is no other way. I just have to find another path to make a living. Philip continued, causing Johann to freeze for a few seconds. Father is afraid of you. Johann listened but did not immediately respond, his expression turning somewhat troubled. Philip would not let it go. He rambled on, Johann, you are terrifyingly strong. To father, that strength is a major threat. Father only wants an obedient son like me, but I am different. I will live my own way. Father thinks that one day, your strength will take everything from him, just like how he overthrew our grandfather to become the Lord. Johann felt awkward, his gaze somewhat disappointed. That is so unreasonable. Philip then turned and gave an order to a servant. Bring that thing here. The servant complied, carrying a large bag. Yes, Lord Philip. The servant reached inside, rummaging for something. At that moment, Johann was filled with astonishment. This is. Philip placed a set of armor and weapons on the ground, a longsword and plain, unadorned armor that had been in storage for who knows how long, along with supplementary pieces of plate. No other weapons. These are the things you once stole. Hearing the old story mentioned, Johann felt a bit guilty. Then Philip lowered his voice again. He continued to share, Johann, I am not like father. I am not foolish enough to drive away a capable person. Therefore, when I become the Lord, I will appoint you as captain of the AITZ Guard. From now until then, do not slack off in your training, and do not cause any more trouble. Johann immediately shouted to defend himself, have I ever actively started trouble? Meanwhile, Philip had already turned and was walking away. He did not give a parting gesture. Johann just stood there, watching his retreating back grow distant. He gazed pensively at the items on the ground. Until now, I have not stopped thinking about the armor from my dream. If I put it on, will I die like in the dream, but still, for some reason, I believe I can overcome it, not die. Of course, there is nothing to prove my belief is correct. In the blink of an eye, Johann had donned the full set of armor. He placed a hand firmly on his chest. Whatever it is, if you want to win, you need weapons. Another day passed like this, the sun already setting. In a tavern, the sound of laughter and conversation echoed. Hey, stop talking nonsense. No, it is true, one man was gushing excitedly. Lord Johann killed up to 50 wolves, but he said a knight should not be greedy for money and just threw all those wolf pelts away. He only drew his sword to save my daughter. So upright and righteous is not he the true knight, his drinking buddy chimed in. Yeah, compared to that drunken, lecherous goat Jason, Lord Johann is much more of a knight. Another person added. Is it true that Pig has not died yet? If only Lord Johann had chopped his head off back then, that would have been great. Forget it, Johann probably spared him. After all, he is the Lord's son. Suddenly, the old man who had been telling the story earlier walked over to a man in a black cloak and made a generous offer. Hey friend, today all the drinks in this tavern are on me. Drink to your heart's content, the other man asked coldly in return. Why is that? The old man joyfully exclaimed. Of course, because Lord Johann saved my daughter's life. The man with the headband was curious. Ah, but who are you? I have not seen anyone like you around here before. An aura of sinister darkness emanated from the black-cloaked figure. He let out a cruel laugh. Truly, people who do not know their place. Daring to draw a sword and insult the Lord. The folks here really have no fear, do they? Everyone who heard him froze in bewilderment. Huh, the black-cloaked man chuckled unnervingly. How interesting. Your stories have piqued my interest. Tell me about this Johann Aitz. As his words ended, the village here sank into a dead silence, no less gloomy and ominous. At the same time, Johann was on his way home. His mood was quite good. Johann was still imagining 7,749 glorious future scenarios for himself. Philip will appoint me as captain of the guard when he ascends. The path paved with flowers has finally come to me. But at that very moment, something strange ahead caught his attention. It was a person in a black cloak leaning against a fence. Johann wondered to himself, is that a drunkard? A future captain of the guard could not ignore someone in need. Without hesitation, he walked over and amiably struck up a conversation. Sir, sleeping here will give you a chill. Where do you live? Let me take you home. Strange phenomena began to occur, making Johann wary. What is this? Something feels cold. Suddenly, the black-cloaked man swiftly shifted into an attacking stance. Johann's pupils contracted as he was plunged into a state of sudden fear. What is this? Night fell over the small town. The surrounding households had extinguished their lamps and torches, leaving only an all-encompassing blackness. Suddenly, the cloaked man pressed a sharp object against Johan's throat, leaving him no time to react. He tried desperately to guess the man's identity. Who is he? Could he be an assassin sent by Jason? No, that is not right. If it were Jason, he would have done it himself. A series of conjectures flooded his mind. Then, someone from the brothel, madam, could it be Philip? The more he thought, the more these guesses led him to a dead end. Damn it, I can't figure out who is behind this. He finally decided to speak first. What do you want? He tried to negotiate, hoping only to be spared. For money, I will give you everything I have. Let me go. The black-cloaked man still refused to release him. Money? I have money enough to pile into mountains. Hearing this, Johan grew even more frightened, his thoughts more chaotic. Not for money, then what does he want? This time, the cloaked man spoke first. Johan Aitz, I have a few questions for you. He pressed the sharp object firmly against Johan's throat. If your answers do not satisfy me, I will pierce your throat immediately. The excessive force caused Johan's skin to break, a trickle of red blood seeping out. Johan's face was full of confusion upon receiving the question. Asking suddenly like this, and threatening to kill me if I answer wrong, he tried to calm himself. Get a grip, Johan. You passed the second round of interviews for a major corporation. You have to answer perfectly to survive. The man did not wait for him to agree. Then let us begin the questions. Johan braced himself. All right, ask away. The man's gaze traveled down Johan's body, observing carefully. He touched the firm arm. Not a bad physique. Hard to believe you share blood with that pig. Are you really Jason's son? Johan's face was full of question marks as he let the man feel him up. He is holding my life in his hands and asking nonsense like this. Damn, how should I answer? After thinking for a moment, he spoke up, flustered. Even from the bloodline of a pig, a lion can be born. The cloaked man received the answer but said nothing more. Seeing his silence, Johan grew terrified. No reaction. Did I answer wrong? The man let out a soft sigh, and the very next second, he burst into loud laughter, leaving Johan bewildered. The black-cloaked man then continued, that answer is quite to my liking. Seeing this, Johan felt a surge of relief. So now let me go. Not making him wait long, the man immediately replied, No, Johan Aitz. From now on, you are mine. Johan understood each word, but when put together, he could not grasp the man's intent. What the hell are you saying? This man's name was Kegel, master of poisons for the most powerful assassination guild in the Nessos Empire. After countless missions, he had developed a unique sword style with movements like a venomous serpent, earning him the later title of Constrictor Sword. But he had one vexation: he could not find a successor. He had searched throughout the entire guild but found only scorpions unworthy of the name. Occasionally, he discovered a few with potential, but for my personal honor, I would rather die than learn your assassination techniques. Kegel did not hesitate to fulfill the stubborn man's request. Very well. Over 30 knights of noble lineage died by Kegel's hand. All chose death for honor. Desperate in his search for a successor, Kegel sought out the Empire's witch. An aged woman's voice rang out. Lord Kegel, granter of peaceful death. The successor you seek is in the insignificant little territory of Aitz, a place no one pays attention to. He is one of the sons of that lecherous lord addicted to fermented drinks. Hearing the witch say this, Kegel was full of disbelief. That backwater, you are saying my successor is there? Why, a single gold coin could buy that entire plot of land. The witch placed both hands on the table, remaining serene despite the sarcasm. If you do not believe the prophecy, I will return your gold. Kegel tapped the table lightly. Who would dare rob a witch? I am afraid of being cursed. Fine, I believe you. Kegel had accepted the witch's words. Because for someone like him, who had wasted a lifetime searching for a successor, time was running out. But even after setting foot in Aitz, his doubts persisted. Is there really a successor in this rustic place? As he walked, he thought, if I do not like you, I will kill you without mercy. He began to introduce himself to Johan. I am Kegel, guild master. There is no time for daydreaming. You must become my successor. Now, answer me. Choose to die by my hand or learn my sword arts. You may only choose one. Johan swallowed, carefully thinking. Damn. The very next second, he shouted, "If I want to learn your sword arts, how much do I have to pay you, sir?" Kegel was somewhat displeased. "Money, I do not accept payment." Johan's eyes lit up. Does he mean it is free? A guild master level expert teaching me swordsmanship, and for free. Is this a dream? Oh no, I have hit the jackpot. He quickly turned around and slapped the man on the shoulder. "Master, why did it take you so long to find me? I have been waiting for you almost my whole life." His reaction left Kegel somewhat bewildered. "My sword art is an assassination art. Just learning it is enough to bring you shame. A lifetime of being pointed at by those around you will become a knight's disgrace. Knowing this, do you still wish to learn?" These warnings did not dampen Johan's resolve. "Honor or disgrace, I do not care. Please, teach me, master." Kegel looked at him, bewildered. "Ha! Truly a freak." Unexpectedly, Johann reached out towards him. "Ah, master, you said you have money piled into mountains. So, if I learn well, could you give me some spending money?" Kegel did not agree hastily, carefully observing the person before him. This brat really is like no other. In Aitz territory, Jason sat on his horse, preparing to leave the castle. "The inspection is over. I am going out for a bit." The two behind him saw him to the door, not forgetting their duties. "Yes, my lord. Be careful on your journey." They chorused, "We will guard the city well and honestly." Immediately after, the gazes exchanged between Philip and the madam radiated mutual envy and hostility. "Ah, let me say it first, no matter how hard you try, this city will still be mine." Philip refused to back down, retorting sharply, "You talk too much. Its next master will be me." Jason Aitz had not gone far when he heard the bickering behind him. "Disgusting. Arguing all day. I am too tired to even look. Do whatever you want." Suddenly, Philip stepped forward to report. "Father, Johann still has not returned. What should we do?" Only then did the Lord remember that son. He immediately roared, "Philip, do not waste my time over that useless trash. If that weakling dies in a ditch somewhere, so be it." Philip hurriedly covered. "Yes, sorry, father." Yet, he still could not simply dismiss his brother. "Johann, where on earth are you?" At the same time, near the territory, Kegel's voice rang out. "I need to know your current level." Johann was flustered. Master, sorry, but could you lend me a sword? I tend to break swords a lot." Kegel reluctantly handed over the sword he was holding. In his eyes, there was still not a shred of trust for a disciple who broke swords. "This guy gets more deserving of death by the minute. I do not see a single good point. Maybe I should just kill him and be done with it." He pointed his own other sword towards Johann, ready and waiting. Johann's face was full of determination. "Yes, sir." He held out the sword, his other hand clenched into a fist. Kegel looked at that stance and felt utter helplessness. What a terrible stance. "Are you really from a knight's family? Unacceptable. I will probably have to kill him after all." Suddenly, Johann spoke up. "Fighting does not necessarily require using a sword correctly, right? Any style of fighting is allowed, right?" Kegel was gradually losing patience. "As you wish. Fists, kicks, swords, anything goes." Johann laughed loudly. Then he immediately swung the sword in his hand, launching a straightforward attack towards the man. The sword in Kegel's hand instantly shattered into many pieces. In that very moment, Kegel realized his doubts had been utterly meaningless. His face was one of utter disbelief. This guy is horrifyingly strong. Johann did not stop. He continued swinging his fist straight toward the person before him. The man managed to dodge it. Just a punch, yet it created a pressure wave. If I had taken that hit, my flesh would have been pulverized, my bones shattered for sure. This guy is not human anymore. He is a lion. The man's hand reached behind his back, carefully gripping another sword. But Kegel did not hesitate. He drew his sword swiftly and cleanly, attacking Johann. Johann, holding the broken sword in his hand, was bewildered. Wait, what kind of ghostly movement is that? Which direction is he attacking from? Up, down, down, down. Before he could even determine the direction of the strike, Johann was hit squarely in the mouth by a blow. He was thrown back several meters, not forgetting to spit out a few mouthfuls of bright red blood. It took a moment for Johann to stagger back to his feet. Kegel remained standing in his spot, with no intention of helping his disciple up. I believe you are just knocked down, not unconscious. Truly an unprecedented, extraordinary person. If you had been born 1,000 years ago, you would undoubtedly have been revered as a legendary hero. Johann's face flushed red. Thank you for the praise, master. Kegel cut him off, but you have a fatal weakness. Continuing like this, you will surely die one day. Johann's face was full of surprise. Huh, surely die, what do you mean, sir? The man calmly explained to his student. You are unable to control your own strength. Therefore, that very strength will kill you. Johann slowly stood up, rubbing the sore spot on the back of his head. Huh, that can't be. I do not hit myself. I am not an idiot. Kegel, from who knows where, pulled out another pile of weapons. He handed another sword to his disciple. So confident, try attacking again. If you can break my sword this time, I will reward you with what you like, gold coins. Johann's eyes lit up. Gold coins. Johann did not hesitate, taking the sword and charging at his master. You must keep your word. Kegel also showed no mercy, immediately drawing another weapon to block the strike. The two swords clashed with tremendous force, sparks flying from the impact. Once again, the sword shattered into pieces in Johann's hand. He was hit by the flying sword fragments and cried out in pain. Johann retreated a few steps. A trickle of red blood ran down his cheek. He recalled his own strike from moments ago. Damn it, this situation is exactly like when I fought father. Kegel, with his own still intact sword, spoke up again to instruct. See, you were defeated by your own strength. Learn to restrain it, Johann. If you do not, you will certainly die. Johann roughly pulled out a sword fragment that had embedded itself in his armor. This fragment aimed straight for the heart. You did that on purpose, did not you? The man sighed in acknowledgement. Yes. For a master of the sword, it is as easy as eating porridge. Johann finally felt fear. I understand now. I have to learn to control my strength. Learn to survive. My future is to become captain of the AITZ Guard. Kegel continued his instruction. When you master restraining your strength, you can even do this. Without finishing his sentence, he swung his sword sheath towards Johann, who was catching his breath. Johann had no choice but to use all his strength, along with the no longer intact sword, to block it. A crack unexpectedly appeared on his breastplate. His face was utterly bewildered as he saw it. Cutting armor with a sheath. The man still held the sword sheath firmly in his hand. See, Johann, if power is focused, even something as blunt as a sheath can slice through armor. If you truly master that terrifying strength of yours, I dare not even imagine how powerful you would become. The sheath swung towards his face again, but fortunately, he dodged it this time. Kegel finally concluded, enough level assessment for now. Now begins the real training. It will be extremely harsh. You may even face death. Are you prepared? Johann's face was full of determination, a firm affirmation. Yes, master. The next morning, in the kingdom, Johann was strolling around. After just one night of training, his face was covered in swellings, to the point where even his parents would not recognize him. Johann could not help but recall last night he had been relentlessly pummeled, only just beginning to grasp the sensation of restraint. But it is so damn hard, at least I did not break any more swords. I wonder when I will actually get to learn sword techniques. He looked ahead, his expression one of extreme surprise. Huh, who is that? A group equipped with iron armor and full weaponry stood before the city gate. Elves, he stepped forward to inquire. Who are you, sir? Why are you standing before the city gate? The man waved his hand dismissively. Can't you see it is curfew? Get out of my sight. Johann angrily pointed a finger and scolded. Who are you to tell me to get lost? The man laughed scornfully. Who? We are the Akitan Wolves, a mercenary unit directly under the Emperor. Johann immediately changed his attitude. A mercenary unit. I need information to find a job too. So you are the big-shot mercenaries, may I ask? What is the income like in this profession? The members of the Akitan squad, seeing his shabby clothes, laughed mockingly. Ha, want to be a mercenary, kid? Our pay is worlds apart from other guards. One contract earns up to 2 gold coins. Johann's eyes practically sparkled upon hearing 2 gold coins. They moved in, taking advantage of his distraction to surround him. A big guy like you just becomes a target for swords to stab. Skill is what is important, you know. Johann still did not harbor the slightest suspicion. Right. His eyes shone brightly, thinking he would found a golden opportunity. I could never earn a gold coin in my whole life. But this income far surpasses being a guard. Should I switch to being a mercenary? Just as they were talking, a man in golden armor rode forward on a horse. He sat atop his horse, looking down contemptuously at Johann standing below. Johann immediately raised his guard. He tightened his grip on the sword in his hand, preparing to attack, but before he could do anything, over a dozen swords from those around him were instantly pointed at his throat. Cold sweat poured down his back. He did not even understand his own action. Why was I about to draw my sword? The angry mercenary soldier cursed at him. You insolent cur, you dare to even think of drawing your sword before Lord Karamov. I will deal with you right now. The other man raised a hand, ordering him to stop. That is enough. He turned his horse, his gaze fixed directly on Johann. Who are you? Johann, faced with the blades of over a dozen men, could only swallow hard. He answered, flustered. Greetings, sir. I am Johann, son of House Aitz. Hearing this, the man also removed the helmet from his head, revealing long, platinum blonde hair. It was Karamov, the Imperial Knight of the Holy Empire. Johann bowed respectfully, though he did not understand why his hand had touched his sword again. Whether it was during the wolf incident, or against father, or against master, or anyone else who wanted to kill me. I have never felt like this. An aura of suffocating pressure. It is like I am just a tiny piece of prey before a mighty predator. The feeling is like a rabbit standing before a dragon. He gave an order. Step aside. You are in my way. Someone shoved Johann hard on the back. The mercenary soldiers also passed by one after another. You. Oh my God, what is wrong with you? You probably shit your pants from fear. Be careful next time, young master. But will there even be a next time? The training knight respectfully followed closely behind Karamov. Lord Karamov, may I ask why we let that insolent one go? He smiled faintly. I do not want to cause a commotion on such a fine day. At least, not now. Johann still stood frozen, watching the group leave. The Emperor's Knight. Why have they come to this backwater place? Someone shouted with feverish urgency. What is that, Lord Karamov? The sound of hurried footsteps pounded the ground. It was Philip, sprinting outside in a flustered rush. A noble of your standing, coming to this place. Upon arrival, he barely caught his breath before hastily greeting. I am Philip Aitz, the heir to the Aitz territory. Lord Karamov, what brings you here? At that moment, the madam was already at the doorway, fawning and flattering. Oh heavens, Lord Karamov, you truly are a peerless specimen of a man. A second one cannot be found to compare. And this is the son who will truly become the Lord. Had I known such a handsome man existed, I would have married later. Please, come into the city and have a meal. Seeing Karamov coldly stride past her, the madam hurriedly tried to hold him back. Wait, Lord Karamov, are you listening to me? Philip witnessed this and could not help but frown in annoyance. Karamov sat down. He rested his hand on his helmet. The face behind it was exceedingly handsome yet no less cruel. Where is Jason? Karamov's words caused the entire room to fall into a shocked silence for a moment. Philip mustered all his courage to hint politely, Lord Karamov, however high your status, it is improper to address my father Jason so directly. The madam, without thinking, jumped in to defend him. Nonsense, he is the supreme knight of the empire, he can address anyone as he pleases. I am the legitimate hostess to receive him. Philip gritted his teeth in resentment but could only curse inwardly. You cunning fox, deliberately trying to create an opportunity to put your son on the Lord's seat. Karamov was beginning to get angry. He thrust his sword forcefully into the ground and shouted, too noisy. Karamov then calmly made an utterly arrogant demand. All of you, get lost. Stop this nonsense. Bring me wine. He glared, his eyes revealing a clear killing intent, and bluntly declared, I will wait for Jason in the city. Until his return. Scene changed to another place in the forest. The clashing sound of weapons rang out rhythmically. Johann and Kegel were still training non-stop. The image of Karamov sitting on his horse suddenly flooded Johann's mind, even his cruel gaze making Johann more and more confused the more he thought about it. Suddenly, Kegel roared, cursing, "You bastard, focus!" Only then did Johann snap back to attention. But right before his eyes was a barrage of blades flying straight at him. Johann slashed to deflect their trajectory, but unluckily, he was still hit. Johann grimaced in pain, looking at the wound on his neck bleeding blood. Kegel turned around, angrily interrogating, "If the sword I just threw had been poisoned, you would be dead already. Why are not you focused?" Without hesitation, Johann straightforwardly recounted, "Recently, a group of Imperial Knights arrived in the village. Their aura seems very strange. This is AITZ territory. Even if they are Imperial Knights, sealing the city gates and controlling entry and exit like this is absurd." Kegel cleared his throat and challenged, "Even if it is suspicious, what can you do about it, Karamov, the Emperor's personal guard knight? He is the strongest warrior on the continent, a core pillar of the Holy Empire. Even the armor he wears is a legendary artifact." Hearing this, Johann could not help but be astonished. "Stronger than you, master?" The man paused for a few minutes at the unexpected question. Kegel frowned and admitted, "If I were to face Karamov by misfortune, I would flee for my life without daring to look back." Johann hurriedly protested, "You would not know the outcome until you actually fight." So the man promptly smacked Johann on the head, accompanied by a shout of, "Shut your mouth. You idiot, do you know who you are? Just a useless guy who can't control his strength. A bastard son who knows nothing of swordsmanship, and you dare to put on airs." Johann was silenced by those contemptuous words, momentarily pressing his lips tight, unable to speak. A moment later, he gripped his sword firmly, looked ahead with confidence, and said, "I will do it." Yet the man still looked at Johann with a scornful gaze and said, "Fine. Come at me." Immediately after, the two launched at each other, engaging in a fierce battle. Not long after, Johann ate another blow from Kegel. The man roared, again, and Kegel struck out once more. Johann quickly raised his sword to block. Unsurprisingly, the man was too strong. Johann could not dodge. Kegel grew more furious, shouting madly. Again, Johann also refused to give up, leaping forward while questioning himself. "Why is not it working? It is just a sheath. Why can't I cut through it?" Suddenly, a brilliant light flashed at the tip of his sword, making Johann realize. That is it, the flow of power. Not swinging wildly, but guiding and concentrating force to the tip of the sword. And so, Johann wielded his sword, gradually comprehending the meaning of controlling strength. Even Kegel began to notice it. The sound from this guy's sword is becoming sharper. In the blink of an eye, sharp slashes were unleashed into the air. Johann continuously attacked, leaving Kegel unable to react in time. He tightened his grip on the hilt, thinking to himself, "This is it. What I learned is now being applied with just the right amount of force." Johann quickly raised it high, preparing for a powerful slash. His eyes simultaneously blazed with light, looking utterly terrifying. That scene also made Kegel break out in a cold sweat. "Whoa, this is dangerous." Johann did not hesitate any further and swept his sword in an arc, as if a serpent was trying to swallow the weapon in Kegel's hand. In an instant of oppressive darkness, a dazzling line of light appeared. Kegel gritted his teeth, looking down at both his sheath and sword, cleanly severed. Seeing this, Johann was elated, beaming like a flower. He excitedly shouted like a child, "All right, I did it, now I have grasped the feeling, is not it easy?" The man still did not believe it, looking at Johann whistling in celebration and thinking to himself, "Must have been a fluke." Kegel called out to Johann, who immediately turned his face to answer. "Yes, sir." The man drew a sword into an attacking stance and simultaneously declared, "This time I won't hold back. Attack." Without a moment's hesitation, Johann once again unleashed his ferocious serpent straight towards Kegel's head. The man was struck by this blow. The sword was cut in two, and his whole body crashed backward. Seeing this, Johann jumped for joy. I won again." Kegel at this moment stared wide-eyed, sweat pouring unceasingly, wondering, "What the hell is this? What is this guy? I only taught him how to control force, and now he is already masterfully using the serpent's tongue ultimate technique. After just the first encounter, he perfectly absorbed my technique. Not only that, He is using swordsmanship more perfect than my own. Kegel sank into thought for a moment, unable to believe this was reality. The experience of his master-ranked assassin told him, Johann now, even if it were luck, had become an undefeatable opponent. Poison Ice of Nessos, the Empire's most elite assassin. The guild master's face flushed crimson. He looked at Johann, who was grinning from ear to ear, thinking learned the technique, I can retire now, and secretly commented, truly an unbelievable freak of a brat. By now, the full moon had reached its zenith. Kegel's voice echoed through the forest. Johann, the teaching ends here. I will leave at sunrise. Hearing this, Johann asked, bewildered. But I just grasped the feeling of sword fighting. So it is over, the man immediately replied. You have achieved everything necessary in swordsmanship. Though I do not want to admit it, you are already stronger than I am. In less than a week. I only hoped my swordsmanship would not be lost. Now, go live as you wish. Johann went blank. Hearing Kegel sigh, you have worked hard. Johann asked in confusion, are you really leaving? He confirmed. Yes, I never stay long in one place. Johann looked at the firelight ahead and curiously continued, because you are an assassin. Kegel, sitting nearby, denied it. No. It is just my nature. Johann glanced over, probing, master, do you know anything about the red tide? The man was momentarily surprised. Red tide. The black wolf, Johann quickly answered, yes, recalling the wolf under the blazing red moon. And recounted. A while ago, after encountering it, I dreamed of my head being cut off. So when you were about to slash my neck earlier, I thought you were the red tide. Kegel let out a sigh. If I killed you, then I would be your red tide. Misfortune is not something that comes in a fixed form. Before I leave, I will set a few conditions. First, I will find you a suitable weapon. With that strength, Danu's steel will suffice. Johann widened his eyes in surprise. What is that? The man began to introduce him to Danu's steel. It is a magical metal that only exists in ancient artifacts. Weapons made from Danus are extremely rare. The number in the whole world can be counted on one's fingers. After listening, Johann's face went blank. Must be very expensive, right? The man added another sentence. You could scrimp your whole life and still not afford it. Even with money, you can't buy it. Johann was puzzled. Then why did Master suggest Danus? He replied, I said it for fun. Find whatever weapon you like. Johann frowned tightly. Is Master holding back because you are an assassin? He refuted again. No, you idiot, blaming everything on being an assassin. A Danus sword can be recognized at a glance. If you see anyone carrying one from afar, run away immediately. Do not look back. If you do not know your place, it is hard to live long. Johann engraved it in his heart. I will remember that. After a while, the master stood up. Johann asked again, are you really leaving? Kegel carefully reiterated once more. Johann, carve this into your bones. Do not fight someone you can't beat. If you sense danger, run. If you are forced to fight, use every means to kill them. As long as you remember this, you won't die easily. Do not you dare die. Johann watched the man's back gradually fade into the distance. Johann recalled the advice. If there is danger, run. If you can't run, then kill by any means necessary, and you must survive. He clenched his fist firmly. I will engrave it in my heart. Master. At the same time, in Aitz city, night had already fallen. The madam's voice spoke up softly. Is the wine to your liking? My lord, Karamov expressed disgust. Like stale piss. Take it away. The madam smiled brightly and asked, it is expensive wine. Does it not suit your taste? What can we do? The good wine is only in Jason's bedroom. You must be tired from the long journey. Do not trouble yourself with too much thought. Go rest in the cozy room. But he still said nothing. The madam's cheeks flushed red as she offered a seductive invitation. Jason's bedroom is very cozy. You will surely be satisfied. I will use my charming voice. The two of you can get intimate and have a pleasant time together. Karamov did not pay the slightest attention and barked, get lost. The madam's face turned pale as she spoke up. Lord Karamov, we do not have much time, so let me entertain you now. Jason will be back late. He remained silent for a moment, then turned his gaze and spoke. It is about time I am getting bored anyway. All right, I will give it a try. Karamov smiled a satisfied smile, testing the thrill of slaughter. He saw the scene before him and could not help but be horrified, having to cover his mouth with his hand. Elsewhere, Johann slowly lifted his heavy footsteps, walking forward. Johann stared in astonishment. What is this? A scene of desolation appeared before his eyes. The village was submerged in a sea of fire. He stood rooted to the spot. Why has our village become like this? Seeing the thick column of smoke rising in the distance, panic spread among the onlookers. Someone cried out in alarm, asking what on earth was happening. Why was the AITZ territory engulfed in smoke like that? Even his subordinate was at a loss, stammering nervously. He had no idea either, my lord. The fire looked massive. The lord should return at once. Hooves thundered in frantic rhythm, the clatter echoing without pause. Gessen reined in hard when he reached the city gates, only to find them tightly shut, guards standing firm before them. The soldiers bared their teeth in crude grins, laughing loudly. So you finally show yourself after the fun's over, huh? You look just as stupid as ever, slow at everything. Hurry up, Lord Pig. Their laughter rang out mockingly. Lord Karamov is not a patient man. In stark contrast to their jeers, the moment the gates swung open, the fat man's eyes widened to their limit. Before him lay rows upon rows of corpses, his soldiers, strewn across the ground. What is this? He gasped. Footsteps approached, the metallic clang of polished boots ringing clearly. Karamov emerged, clad head to toe in golden armor, only his eyes, visible eyes as red as fresh blood, fixed unblinkingly on Gessen. You are late, Gessen. Gessen growled deep in his throat. You bastard, what do you think you are doing? He roared, overcome with fury, raising his axe in threat. Do you have any idea what kind of game you are playing? Karamov lifted his sword in response, his tone utterly calm. Gessen, you are charged with conspiring to assassinate His Majesty and committing treason. By imperial decree, House Aitz is to be erased. The fat man exploded in rage. Do not be ridiculous, this is nothing but a purge. You are slapping fake charges on me just so you can execute me. With all his strength, he lunged forward. I won't let you do whatever you want. Karamov's voice did not change in the slightest. Sound the horn. At his command, hundreds of soldiers surged forward, flooding into the city. They were to confiscate the Aitz family's seals of authority, cleanse everyone within the territory, and wipe this land from existence. The moment his order ended, the troops roared and poured in, erasing the domain from the map. All that remained was raging fire, devouring everything in its path. Nearby, a soldier gripping his sword ground his teeth in irritation. You are a real bastard. He roughly seized the priest by the hair, pressing the blade against his throat. Just tell me where that pig's bastard son is hiding. Is that really so hard? Fine, then I will send you to meet your god, the one you worship so devoutly. Seeing that Valberga would rather die than utter a word, the soldier bellowed and raised his sword to strike. Die. Hot blood sprayed everywhere, but it was not Valberga's. The priest stared in shock as the soldier's arm fell to the ground midair. Trembling, he looked up at the person before him. Sir Johann, he cried out urgently. Father Valberga. Johann swiftly cut the ropes binding the priest and asked in a rush, what is going on here? Valberga shook his head helplessly. I do not know. The royal army is slaughtering villagers on sight. His blood-smeared face darkened as he whispered, it is possible. Lord Gessen has already been killed as well. At those words, Johann shuddered uncontrollably. Even my father. The flickering flames nearby loomed like a colossal beast. And that was not all, they were burning the entire village to the ground, erasing everything. Johann clenched his teeth. Damn it. I have to get back to the castle, now. Suddenly, a voice rang out from somewhere, making him jolt. That voice, the muscular man hurried off, leaving Valberga behind in a haze. Sir Johann. When he found the owner of the voice, relief flooded his face. Dell, it is you. He let out a breath he had not realized he was holding. Thank goodness you are safe. It is dangerous here. Come with me. Before he could finish, shock struck him silent. Behind Dell lay her father's corpse, tortured to death. Sir Johann. My father. Johann froze, staring ahead. The kind man who had loved his daughter so dearly reduced to a cruel, painful death. He looked around in a daze. The villagers who had been laughing and chatting with him just days ago were all dead now. The soldiers who usually stood at Johan's side had fallen while trying to protect the village. Emotion surged violently within him, and he had to clench his jaw tight to keep himself from losing control. He gently placed a hand on the sobbing girl's shoulder. Del, Johann said softly, it is dangerous to be alone. Stay with Father Valberga. She nodded, choking back tears. Yes. Once that was done, Johann picked up his sword and turned away, his steps firm and unhesitating. Sir Johann, wait, please wait. Where are you going? Valberga clutched Del tightly, desperately trying to stop him. You must not go. You need to run away. But Johann's back only grew more distant as he walked on. Sir Johann. When he reached his destination, the sight that greeted him was his father's head, impaled and displayed atop a banner. Below it stood a notice, dripping with hypocrisy. Duke Gessen Aitz has been executed for treason against the emperor. Any person who attempts to retrieve his remains will be punished with the same charge. Royal Knight Karamov. The veins around Johann's eyes bulged as fury boiled over inside him. One of the soldiers suddenly recognized him. Huh, what the hell are not you, that bastard son of his? He curled his lips into a mocking grin. I thought you would already run off somewhere. Came back just to die. Johann said nothing. He swung his arm in a clean arc, slicing through the flagpole. The enemy banner crashed to the ground, and Johann stepped down on it without hesitation. The soldiers panicked, shouting over one another. Look at this brat. What are you standing around for? Kill him, now. Johann's eyes, brimming with killing intent, swept over them. His blade flashed. One by one, throats were severed cleanly, death so swift they never even had time to close their eyes. Silence fell once more, leaving Johann alone amid the ruins. He stood there in grim stillness, asking himself why he had done this. Why had he come back to the castle? Part of him knew he should have chosen differently. Father Valberga had been right, he should have run. Biting his lip hard, Johann admitted it to himself, if he came back, he would die for nothing. In the midst of his tangled thoughts, a faint, labored voice suddenly called out, Johann. He froze and hurriedly crouched down. Philip, the man before him, was drenched in blood, barely clinging to life. You are still alive. Johann did not answer the unspoken question, why did you come back? Philip had already removed his helmet, forcing himself to speak. Go. Run. If you stay here, you will die. His weak hands lifted shakily. I want to give you this, so that when you become the Lord. Johann reached out and took it, listening in silence to his brother's final words. One day. Philip never finished the sentence. Johann had to press his lips together hard. His reason still clung to his master's teachings. Understand the gap in strength. If you encounter danger, run. He gripped the battered helmet tightly. His opponent was an imperial knight. Even his master had said that if he met such an enemy, he should flee without looking back. Those words echoed clearly in his ears. But running was not always the answer. If battle was unavoidable, then no matter the cost, he had to kill. Johann's voice dropped low. That is right. He placed the helmet on his head and sprang to his feet, fists clenched. And at that very moment, he shoved open the heavy door. The soldiers inside stared at him in disbelief. One gaped openly. What the hell? How did this bastard get in here? Where are the guards? Johann tightened his fist and roared, Karamov. He smashed through every soldier who tried to block his path. Come out here, you bastard! His massive frame never retreated even a single step. His breathing came out ragged, drenched in bloodlust. Crimson dripped steadily from the tip of his sword. Karamov slowly approached. So the runaway son of House Aitz really did survive. He spoke with unsettling calm. You are the boy who stood before the castle back then, Johann Aitz, correct? Johann had no intention of wasting time. I am not in the mood to exchange names. He snarled, his voice trembling with fury. Just think of me as a man who has lost his damn mind, you bastard. The knight sneered coldly. You should have kept running. If you had, you might have lived. Looks like you do not care much about your own life. His blood-red eyes flashed. Very well. He drew his sword. If you want to die, then come at me. Johann charged without a moment's hesitation. You do not need to tell me, he growled. That was always my intention. Johann and Karamov clashed fiercely amid a sea of flames, the shrill screech of metal striking metal tearing through the air. Johann charged in without hesitation, bringing his blade down in a decisive blow, but Karamov caught it head-on. The impact was tremendous, so violent that cracks immediately spread across Johann's sword. Under the crushing pressure, the blade was sliced nearly in half. Karamov had almost severed Johann's weapon completely, and with the same motion, he flung Johann backward. But Johann recovered quickly, regaining his footing in an instant. In the very next second, he counterattacked, throwing himself into the fight once more, ready to gamble everything. Seeing that his opponent had no intention of surrendering, Karamov broke into an exhilarated grin. This is fun. Just as Johann pressed forward, a sharp slash cut cleanly across his blade. He froze, eyes snapping to the fresh gash. The strikes kept coming, relentless cuts aimed solely at destroying the sword, hacking at it again and again. Johann stood there, unable to react in time. Karamov did not wait for him to recover. He moved first, lunging in with a flurry of slashes. Johann could only dodge desperately before losing his balance and falling back. Karamov struck down once more. Johann barely managed to evade, the attack grazing a stone pillar behind him instead. The pillar shattered instantly. Massive chunks of stone collapsed with thunderous crashes, dust and debris billowing everywhere. Seeing his opponent narrowly avoid every blow, Karamov felt a surge of excitement. Interesting. Remembering how easily his previous foes had fallen, a thought surfaced in his mind: this one far surpassed that Brits. The thick dust cloud completely obscured his vision. Suddenly, a soldier was hurled out from within it. Without a second thought, Karamov cleaved the man in two, blood spraying everywhere. A feint. A smokescreen to distract me. His interest only grew. Truly entertaining. Karamov lifted his gaze toward where Johann should be, eyes gleaming, a delighted smile tugging at his lips. Entertain me more, you bastard son of House Aitz. Without warning, Johann slashed in. Karamov raised his arm to block. The strike was heavy, powerful enough to slice through the armor and cut deep into his flesh. Johann had attacked with the broken blade itself. Karamov's eyes widened in disbelief. He leapt back at once, pulling away to create distance. Johann casually tossed the remaining half of his shattered sword aside. The smoke began to clear, revealing the battlefield once more. Karamov stared at the wound on his wrist, unable to believe it. He just cut through it. My Danu's steel armor. Gone was his earlier air of dominance. His body trembled, fear creeping in. Johann picked up another sword and began walking forward slowly. Karamov's eyes filled with panic, his thoughts screaming in protest. Impossible. Humans can't damage Danu's steel. Just who is he? Johann attacked again. The clash resumed, brutal and intense. Karamov found himself shaken, incredulous. I have never heard of anyone with this kind of strength. After trading blows for a while, he began to notice something. Those clumsy sword swings. That overwhelming, inexhaustible strength. In his mind, he reached a conclusion. He is just a brute relying on raw power. He swings wildly, without technique. Spotting an opening, Karamov thrust straight forward. The blade grazed past Johann's shoulder. In the same instant, Johann ducked low and retreated. Watching his opponent struggle to evade, Karamov felt his confidence return. Just as I thought. He can't even properly block a simple thrust. As Johann continued to swing without any clear strategy, Karamov grew suspicious again. He is fighting purely on instinct. No proper technique at all. Did Gessen never teach him real swordsmanship? He is dangerous, Karamov decided. I need to end this quickly. Recalling Johann's crude slashes from the start of the fight, he envisioned the outcome. If he uses that stupid attack again, his precious head will come right off. He challenged him inwardly. Come at me, brat. Then Johann moved and Karamov gasped. What? Johann's blade moved like a python, sinuous and fluid, twisting with lethal finesse. The serpent slipped through defenses and sank its fangs into its prey. The armor was too hard, forcing cracks to spread across the sword once more. The blade shattered again, but it was enough. It cut through, carving a deep wound, blood spraying out. Karamov recoiled in shock. His eyes flew open, pupils shrinking as he saw Johan's fist coming straight at him. Relying on sheer strength, Johan drove a punch forward. Karamov was sent flying, his armor caving inward with a sickening crunch. Blood burst from his mouth. His eyes bulged in terror as he stabbed his sword into the ground to steady himself. He dropped to one knee, clutching his wound, coughing up mouthfuls of blood. His gaze was filled with confusion and fury. His teeth ground together as realization struck him like lightning. This is Kegel's technique, he snarled. Assassination swordsmanship. Johan Aitz. So you have been hiding your true skills all along. He looked up at Johan, who stood there gripping a broken sword, its jagged tip leveled straight at him, killing intent pouring off his entire body. Karamov seethed with frustration. Damn it. I completely let my guard down. He raised a trembling hand to cover his mouth, but the blood kept spilling out anyway, dripping to the ground in dark pools. He coughed violently, each rasp sounding heavier than the last. At that moment, Johan removed his helmet. His eyes burned with hatred as he stared straight at Karamov. He hurled the helmet to the ground with all his strength, the clang echoing through the ruins, and shouted, Why did you do all of this? Karamov lifted his head with difficulty and answered haltingly, It was all for His Majesty. His voice wavered. The Holy Kingdom is more unstable than ever. His Majesty drew the imperial sword to restore order to the empire. That sword, Mavkara. Before he could finish, pain seized him again. He clutched his wound, coughing uncontrollably. Then, all at once, Karamov burst into laughter. He threw his head back and shouted, I am grateful to you, Johan Aitz. His voice dropped lower as he continued. For decades, I have fought across countless battlefields and crossed blades with innumerable knights. But I have never met anyone as strong as you. Fixing Johan with a resolute gaze, Karamov spoke with conviction. Come with me to the Empire, Johan. His Majesty needs someone like you now more than ever. He painted a lavish picture with his words endless gold and silver, glory beyond measure, vast and fertile lands granted in reward. His Majesty himself will appoint you as a royal knight. Then Karamov shouted with all the strength he had left, Become the Emperor's sword, Johan. Johan fell silent, turning over every word he had just heard. Endless wealth. He stood there motionless and slowly lifted his face toward the sky. A strange, indescribable feeling welled up inside him. Johan closed his eyes and reflected. That was the life I once dreamed of. And yet, right now, I feel nothing at all. When he opened his eyes again, his resolve was firm. I refuse. Faced with such promise being rejected, Karamov stared at him in disbelief. What? Johan roared with hatred, Get lost. You did not just kill my family, you slaughtered innocent peasants too. People who did nothing wrong. Peasants, Karamov echoed in confusion. You are rejecting my offer because of peasants, he clenched his teeth, fury boiling over. In the next instant, he shouted, Who cares if they die? What was your mother, some filthy peasant too? They are vermin. Weak, worthless vermin. The strong drink the blood of the weak. That is the law of this world. At those words, Johan fell silent. In his heart, he whispered, I am sorry, master. His hand clenched so tightly that his nails bit into his palm, drawing blood. Rage surged through him. I can't control this power anymore. After a brief hesitation, Johan drove his fist straight into Karamov's face. He completely lost control. Blow after blow rained down, every accusation becoming a strike. For the Emperor, punch. Lives without value, punch. His fury reached its peak. Johan poured everything he had into one final punch, screaming madly, What makes you think you are so noble, so entitled to decide who deserves to live and who does not? Karamov's face was smashed out of shape. He could not fight back at all. Blood streamed down his face as his body finally gave out, one arm twitching weakly. Johan's fist, soaked in Karamov's blood, dripped steadily onto the ground. Even then, his anger had not subsided. Veins stood out starkly along his arm. Karamov lay broken on the ground, coughing faintly. Johan no longer cared. He turned and walked away. He had not gone far when Karamov spoke again. Fool! With great effort, he raised a trembling hand and pointed at Johan. You should have accepted my offer. Even with shattered teeth and a twisted face, Karamov persisted. Now it is too late. The one who broke the Emperor's sword will know only suffering from this moment on. Hearing that, Johann turned back, glaring at him. Karamov's arm shook violently, and the next second, his will finally gave out. His body went completely limp, unconscious. Johann turned his back and walked into the blazing inferno. Ash and embers drifted through the air as he reflected. This world accepted death with terrifying indifference. To survive, everything he had once thought about revolved around money. His hand was still clenched into a fist, the anger inside him far from gone. But as he recalled villages swallowed by flames, people slaughtered without mercy, his fury only deepened. They massacred everyone in our lands. Our families, our neighbors burned and killed. Stepping over the fallen bodies of soldiers strewn across the ground, Johann made a silent vow. Even if the entire world becomes our enemy, I will do what must be done. I will never regret what I have done no matter what anyone says. Johann's eyes grew firmer than ever as he affirmed it to himself. This is how I choose to live. Right before the city gate, the guard on night watch heard a commotion in the darkness. Jane stepped inside. He stared in disbelief and demanded sharply, I will ask you one more time. Is everything you just said true? A soldier wrapped in bandages from head to toe trembled as he answered, It is true. Every word of it. I swear please, sir, you have to believe me. The terrified soldier continued his account. He suddenly charged in and beat every single soldier to a pulp. And then, with his bare hands, he took Lord Karamov's head. Just hearing that much made Jane swallow hard. He fell silent and listened on. That was the last time we ever saw Lord Karamov. When they reported that Karamov could not be found anywhere at the scene, Jane finally exploded. He shouted angrily, If what you are saying is true, then Lord Karamov's body should have been there. How am I supposed to believe such baseless claims without a shred of evidence? Under the pressure of the interrogation, the soldier had no explanation. He could only stammer, insisting, that is. That is the part I do not understand either. But I am certain I saw it with my own eyes. At that moment, another soldier stepped forward to report, Sir Jane. The pursuit unit is ready. Jane clutched his head in exhaustion and replied, I know. I will be there shortly. Somewhere nearby, hurried footsteps echoed. Jane roared orders at the troops. Pass it down to the entire army. At once, the soldiers raised their weapons, voices erupting as one. Hunt him down, kill him, Jane continued coldly, the target is Johann Aitz. The sound of running feet on the other side grew louder and more frantic. A filthy traitor to his own bloodline and the prime suspect in Lord Karamov's murder. Meanwhile, Johann was sprinting through a storm of attacks, Karamov slung over his shoulder. From the rear, Jane kept screaming orders without pause. Track him down, if necessary, kill him but no matter what, bring him back alive. Do you understand? Forced to fight while carrying another body, Johann struggled under the burden. Yet every soldier who blocked his path was dealt with swiftly and decisively. On the other side, the entire unit went pale as they relayed Jane's warnings. He can tear or in a steel apart with raw strength alone. Do not engage him solo under any circumstances. Treat this as a dragon hunt. Orders followed in quick succession. Seal off every road around the territory. We will keep pressing him all night until he collapses from exhaustion. The soldiers grew increasingly shaken by the reports. One of them stammered, "Yes, sir." Is Lord Karamov really dead? Jane replied slowly, emphasizing every word, "We must bring that bastard's head back to His Majesty." As he ran, Johann recalled Philip's instructions. Listen carefully, Johann. About 500 steps northwest of the hunting grounds, you will find my stable. Get there, mount a warhorse, and escape. No matter what, you must survive. Taking shelter briefly beneath a tree, Johann set Karamov down. He was gasping for breath, exhausted, and glanced toward the silhouette of a building in the distance. That must be the stable Philip mentioned. He let out a bitter laugh to himself. Damn. I really thought I was done for. Guess I got lucky. He had assumed hiding Karamov's body would cause some confusion, but the pursuit team had moved far faster than expected. Still, his armor can serve as a shield, Johann reasoned. I will keep carrying him until I shake them off. Patting his thigh, Johann forced his breathing to steady and rallied himself. All right. Let us go. He walked up to the building and pushed the door open. It creaked loudly in the still night. Inside stood a solid white warhorse, powerfully built and radiating ferocity. The horse snorted aggressively as it spotted Johann. Seeing it, Johann murmured with certainty, "So this is Gessen's warhorse." He gently stroked the horse and whispered, "Thank you, big brother." As he calmed the animal, joy welled up inside him. With a horse like this, at least I can rest a little while riding. He studied it for a moment, then hesitated thoughtfully. "Let us see. Your name should be at last." Johann smiled faintly and said, "Nice to meet you, Philip." Elsewhere, a soldier suddenly shouted, pointing into the distance. "I saw something flash over there. I am sure it was the glow of Ornus steel. Search every inch of this area." Instantly, everyone went on high alert, weapons ready. As the commander barked, "That bastard is definitely nearby." Within the formation, another soldier spoke up tensely. I hear the sound of hooves." Suddenly, the shadow of a horse thundered past right in front of them. The soldiers stared hard at the rider astride its back. One of them recognized him and shouted, It is Johann Aitz. He is escaping on horseback." Man and horse flashed by in an instant and surged forward into the darkness. The commanding officer barked an order, "Shoot him down. Do not let that bastard get away." At the command, volleys of arrows were loosed in waves. Every single one of them was blocked by Karamov's armor that Johann was carrying, the metal absorbing the impact without fail. And so Johann rode through the entire night, finally shaking off the pursuit unit and plunging deep into the Black Forest. After traveling a considerable distance, he came to a halt. He dug a pit in the earth and looked down into it, thinking, this should be deep enough. Even though the man had been rotten to the core, leaving a human being unburied still felt wrong. Glancing back over his shoulder, Johann hesitated. That said, his armor really does look expensive. He picked up the sword and gave it a light shake to test its balance. Johann frowned thoughtfully. Light, yet solid. This blade was forged from Ornus steel. He drew it from its scabbard and froze when he noticed the strange inscription carved along the blade. Ancient imperial script, translating the words in his mind, he read, "I am the one who reclaims the seals." He repeated the phrase under his breath. The one who reclaims the seals. Anger flared as he grasped its implication. Reclaiming noble crests. Family insignia. Even the name itself felt ominous. Johann had the uneasy sense that this sword was a sworn enemy bound to him by fate. After a moment's thought, he made his decision. He strapped the sword to his waist, then tossed the armor down into the pit. I will take the sword with me for now. The armor I will bury it. Burying something so valuable made his chest ache with regret. Damn it. What a waste. But hauling it around would only slow him down. I will come back for it someday. With that resolved, he filled the pit back in. Stabbing the shovel into the freshly packed earth, he finished burying both Karamov's body and his equipment. Exhaustion washed over him. His body trembled as unease crept in. Was this good enough? His gaze grew distant. Johann thought to himself, Karamov the Emperor's knight. Once word of his death spread, the entire empire would hunt him down. Countless knights who followed Karamov would seek revenge. And then there were Karamov's final words, echoing in his mind, from this moment on, you will know only suffering. Closing his eyes, Johann reflected on his life so far. My life was already nothing but suffering long before I ever beat him to death. What was he supposed to do now? The Aitz family had been burned to the ground. He had not even managed to bring a single coin with him. He could not sell the priceless armor he would just buried either. He was utterly spent, his hands shaking uncontrollably. I will rest for a bit. Then figure things out. Then he sensed something behind him. Johann jolted. He drew his sword and spun around, bracing himself. Standing there was a massive black wolf, its eyes glowing a deep blood red. Johann stiffened as he realized what it was, a dire wolf. Shaking from exhaustion as he faced such a fearsome opponent, he cursed under his breath, damn it. Of all the times you could show up, you picked the exact moment I am completely spent. His brow furrowed as panic churned inside him. In this condition, I do not stand a chance. His arms had no strength left. How am I supposed to even hold this sword? He moved quietly, retreating step by step as he searched for a way out. I need to get back to the horse and find a way to escape, he thought. From somewhere in the distance, Johann's heart lurched when he heard shouts echoing through the night, "We have found his horse." A unit of soldiers quickly gathered around where the horse stood, their presence sweeping the area with aggressive intent. The commander kept shouting orders, "We have captured that bastard's warhorse. He has to be nearby." Johann panicked and spun around, glancing behind him. The Aquitaine wolves. "They are already here." The commander raised his arm and pointed in a direction, yelling, "Over there. I heard something that way." Johann had been discovered. He ground his teeth in frustration. Damn it. Front and back, he was completely boxed in monsters ahead of him, the pursuit unit at his back. There was nowhere left to run. As he stood frozen, desperately trying to figure out how to escape, a thought crossed his mind. Is this how it ends for me? At that moment, the black wolf suddenly leapt straight past him. It charged directly into the soldiers, tearing into them with savage ferocity. Caught completely off guard, the troops screamed in terror as they were attacked. A monster! Help! Someone help me! The scene left Johann staring in shock. What the hell, it did not even notice me. He snapped back to his senses. No, none of that matters right now. The wolf was clearing a path. This is my chance. Johann's body finally gave out. One of his legs buckled without warning, dropping him halfway to the ground. He clenched his teeth, forcing his body to move despite the agony. I have to go. If I do not move now, I am dead. The next instant, Johann gathered every last shred of strength he had and let out a long, desperate shout. He sprang forward, pushing himself to run. Somehow, he managed to mount the horse. Seizing the moment, he urged it forward and fled at full speed. As man and horse thundered away without pause, memories from his childhood came flooding back. He remembered Valberga teaching him when he was still small. He remembered being with Philip as a child, the two of them side by side. Then came memories of training years of relentless practice, from boyhood to adulthood flashing through his mind like scenes in fast forward. As he left behind the land of his birth, Johann whispered a final farewell. Goodbye. Aitz village. Back among the soldiers, the entire unit had been slaughtered by the black wolf. Not a single one survived. Having finished them off, the beast lifted its gaze and watched Johann's figure fade into the distance. The black wolf did nothing more than observe. Seeing the imperial soldiers maintaining strict security and relentlessly searching for him, Johann cursed under his breath. Damn it. Hiding inside a nearby bush as he observed the situation, panic crept in. There is a checkpoint here too, the exit is completely blocked. Johann slumped down onto the ground, utterly defeated as he muttered to himself. I am done for. Ever since I escaped, I have not eaten, have not slept, have not done a single decent thing to recover. He never imagined he would be hunted non-stop for 3 straight days by the Aquitaine wolves. The number of times he had nearly died was impossible to count. Whenever he fought back against those damn beasts, they would swarm him in packs. Dark circles hung under his eyes, exhaustion written plainly across his face. Johann knew he had reached his limit. He did not even have the strength left to lift his sword anymore. Realizing he was trapped in constant danger, fear overwhelmed him. Is there really no way out? Am I just going to be captured and executed by those bastards like this? He heard a noise from behind and turned to see what it was. A group of people was approaching, escorting a horse-drawn carriage. Johann guessed silently, an armed cargo wagon. A merchant caravan. An idea suddenly sparked in his mind. All right. I will disguise myself as a peddler. It was a risky decision, but Johann committed to it. If I look like part of their group, I might avoid suspicion. I will use them to get through the checkpoint. The people riding in the carriage were from the Ketana Eldens trading company. A mercenary called out, Lord Eldens. Eldens replied, What is it, Goran? Khan looked ahead and added, Up front. There is someone there. Goran and Khan spoke again, It is a heavily armed mounted knight. Another member of the caravan blurted out, What? Mercenary Goran Khan tensed and warned, Sir, I believe we should prepare for combat. Another mercenary, Gamson, responded casually, unconcerned. Why make such a fuss over one guy on a horse? If it comes to it, the 9 of us can rush him and kill him on the spot. Goran frowned, clearly uneasy. He pointed toward Johann and warned Gamson, Look carefully, Gamson. He is not like us. He is fully armored and riding a warhorse. On top of that, he is wearing a helmet and a breastplate. Goran Khan pressed Gamson's head down and pointed again. And do you see the sword hanging at his waist? Look at the hilt. That purple glow means it is definitely forged from Orna's steel. If he swings that sword at us, our armor would be cut apart like butter. He continued grimly, we could all be wiped out if we confront him head-on. Goran ended up rubbing his head with a helpless laugh, while Gamson still showed no fear or concern at all. He tried to argue back, wiped out, seriously, do not you think you are exaggerating a bit, there are 9 of us here. 9. One of the men shoved Gamson to the ground, shouting angrily, hey, someone get this idiot out of my sight, I can't think straight with him here. The others were just as irritated, smacking Gamson on the head. Get over here, moron. If you do not know what you are talking about, then shut up. By now, Eldons was clearly panicking. He quickly turned and shouted orders, Goran, Khan, prepare everyone. We attack the moment that man makes any suspicious move. I will go forward and assess the situation first. He gave a tense command. When I give the signal, all of you attack at once. The entire caravan responded in unison. Yes, sir. Eldon slowly stepped down and walked forward. Meanwhile, Goran Khan turned back and whispered urgently to the others, listen carefully. Once the fight starts, knock him off his horse first. After that, stay calm and stab into the gaps in his armor. Eldons approached, greeting him while subtly probing for information. Greetings. I am Eldons of the Ketana Trading Company. I would like to avoid any unnecessary misunderstandings. May I ask for your name? When he realized the one approaching him was not human, Johann flinched slightly. A beast man, a cat man. He noticed that everyone's expressions had darkened, their guard clearly raised to the highest level. At the same time, Eldons himself looked both uneasy and suspicious. Sensing how tense the situation had become, Johann grew just as anxious. This is bad. Does he suspect me because of how I look right now? I need to lower his guard first. A moment later, Johann spoke up, lifting his helmet as a gesture of courtesy. May the blessings of the gods be with you, he said calmly. My name is Johann. I look like this because I was attacked by bandits on the road earlier. You do not need to be overly cautious. Gesturing hesitantly toward the people behind Eldons, he added, that said, could you ask those gentlemen staring at me so intently to refrain from attacking me? Eldons let out a hearty laugh, as if a great weight had been lifted from his shoulders. It seems I have been rather rude. Please forgive me. As a merchant, I must always prepare for the worst. Johann replied politely, of course. I understand. That is exactly why. He hesitated before making his request. Would you allow me to travel with your caravan? As you can see, I lost all my travel funds during the attack. He then offered a compromise. If you can provide me with some food and a place to sleep, I will help protect your caravan. Eldon stroked his beard thoughtfully. He certainly looks strong enough. And he does not seem suspicious. After a moment, he nodded. Very well. Let us do that. Pointing behind him, Eldons continued, we are heading for Marseille. It is a fairly long journey, so you should go and familiarize yourself with the mercenaries over there. Johann bowed repeatedly. Thank you very much. I am truly grateful. Though relieved on the surface, confusion churned in his mind. Marseille. Where exactly is that? Eldons returned to the carriage. Goran could not help but ask curiously, Lord Eldons, what was that about? Eldons answered casually, though his tone carried a warning. Just a wandering man. Nothing more. He will be traveling with us for a while. Still, keep an eye on him. His gaze sharpened as he added coldly, if anything happens, do not hesitate to kill him. The entire group responded in unison, yes, sir. With the immediate danger resolved, Johann finally let out a quiet sigh of relief. Good. Now I just need to get past the checkpoint. The caravan resumed its journey. Up ahead, a soldier spotted them and called out to the others. Hey, someone's coming. The guards shouted toward the merchant caravan, we are the Aquitaine Wolves. If you wish to pass, cooperate and submit to a preliminary inspection. Despite having made it this far, Johann's nerves tightened. So this is the checkpoint. He could only hope he would slip through without drawing attention. Eldon spoke up. Aquitaine Wolves, I have done business with you several times before. I am Eldons of the Ketana Trading Company. I would like to speak directly with whoever is in charge. At those words, one of the soldiers visibly panicked. He stammered, the Ketana Trading Company. Fear flashed across his face as the name sank in. The merchant guild headquartered in Marseille, that Ketana. Marseille was the commercial heart of the continent. A city even the emperor himself dared not provoke lightly. Remembering this, the soldier immediately forced a flattering smile onto his face. It is an honor to meet you, Lord Eldons. We are merely following orders to search for a fugitive traitor. If you could cooperate with us just a little. Hearing that, Johann felt a surge of anger. A fugitive traitor. So this checkpoint really was set up just to hunt me down. When the inspection reached him, the soldier barked, "Hey, you there. Take off your helmet and let us see your face." Johann cursed inwardly. Damn it. He pretended to cough a few times and quickly made up an excuse. The thing is, I have a bit of an illness on my face, so. The soldiers burst into laughter. They jeered mercilessly. What, did your mother strain too hard pushing you out? Come on. Let us see that ugly face of yours. Hurry up and take it off or what? Huh. One of them narrowed his eyes and threatened, "What are you hiding?" Johann locked eyes with the bespectacled soldier, one tense with worry, the other stern and suspicious. His hand drifted toward his sword. Damn it. If it comes to this, maybe I really have no choice but to fight. A sharp shout cut through the tension. That is enough. Eldons was genuinely furious now. Are you seriously questioning the Ketana Trading Company? The soldier hurriedly tried to explain. And no, that is not it. We are just carrying out royal orders. I told you to call your commander here, Eldon snapped. Pointing straight at the man's face, he reprimanded him coldly. If you continue interfering in our affairs, I will have no choice but to file a formal complaint directly with your captain personally, through the Marseille branch. Left with no options, the soldier could only grit his teeth and issue the order. Clear the way. The other soldiers awkwardly whistled, turning their heads and pretending not to see anything. As he stepped aside, the soldier who had confronted Johann muttered, "You are lucky, you pathetic bastard." Johann let out a quiet breath of relief. I made it through without fighting. I am finally out of there. Still, he could feel the soldier's eyes lingering on him, faces grim, killing intent barely concealed. The caravan eventually halted to rest, lighting a fire and settling down. One of the mercenaries called out, "Everyone, check your gear one last time. Night watch will be handled by the oldest man and the newest one." Inside a tent, Eldon sat reading something, humming softly to himself. A mercenary spoke up nearby. "Your name's Johann, right? You do not have any special duties, so go ahead and get some sleep." Johann bowed hurriedly. Thank you." He removed part of his gear, rolled it up into a makeshift pillow, and tossed it onto the spot covered with a mat. Lying down, he shuddered and let out a long breath. I did not think simply closing my eyes would feel this difficult. But finally, I can rest. The moment he lay down, he fell into a deep sleep. High above, a faint light flickered. A soldier's face appeared in the glow, wearing a smug grin. Turning back, he issued a quiet command. "Good. Get everyone ready. We will surround them from the hill and attack all at once."